you want to go, Lance?
This chair across your face. Don't disrespect.
No, you can't intimidate me.
Don't disrespect.
You can't intimidate me.
Don't disrespect.
You can't intimidate me.
Daniel, don't
Who do you
disrespect.
think you are?
Daniel, don't disrespect. You can't put this.
Hey, what's up? This is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to talk about Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. Really quick, if you like the videos, please take the time to subscribe to the channel. So much is happening in the sport of boxing. I want to be the one to deliver that news to you. Now, I want to talk about this little intense 2-minute confrontation that happened between Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua. Why did this happen, first and foremost? I think this has to do with a few things in the past. I think because Daniel Dubois is not the type of guy who's antagonizing. I think he took a little bit of what he had for the Jarrell Miller fight, Big Baby, in terms of the press conference, and I think he tried to apply it to this Anthony Joshua thing. The thing with AJ is that AJ is very dry and serious, and Big Baby Miller is very fun and upbeat, and he'll give you whatever you want. If you want seriousness, you can give seriousness, but if you want a joke and you want to play around, he'll give you that as well. Tyson Fury, these are people who have personality. AJ, not to say he doesn't have a personality, but he's a very serious guy. He's not the type of guy who's going to joke around with you or anything like that. And I think Daniel Dubois started off in a joking manner. Now, granted, they were like, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to fight right now. And that's common because, they're fighters. So naturally, you do want to go. You get tired of answering the same question over and over and over again from these press people. So I get it when he says, I'm just ready to go right now. But AJ clearly took it a little too far. Like, I'll slap you with a chair. Like, what are you talking about? You're going to slap him with a chair. Why are you going to slap him with a chair? It's just like, all right. This new AJ is super uptight and super, super, super serious. And again, Daniel, he is a lot younger than AJ. I think he's like 7 or 8 years younger than AJ. Something like that. But nonetheless, Daniel's a very serious guy. He doesn't talk a whole lot. And when he does talk, especially if he's trying to make a joke, like it tends to go dry real quick. And, but AJ kind of just went left and I'll smack you in the head with a chair. So I'm like, well, where did that come from? And I do know that they used to be sparring partners, back in the day. They kind of came up in the same facility, same gym. So I do know they used to be sparring partners. And there was a point in time, especially when Daniel Dubois really hit the scene, there was a rumor that he had knocked AJ out. Now, naturally, AJ's going to deny this, but it's done wonders for Daniel Dubois. Do I doubt he could knock AJ out? Daniel Dubois could knock AJ through a building if he wanted to. Okay, the question is, can he do it? I don't know. Did he do it? I don't know. But there were a lot of people who said that it happened. But you also, listen, it's sparring and it's a long time ago. That's like the Devin Haney and Gervonta Tank Davis. And it's just like, well, I beat him up in sparring. He beat him up in sparring years ago. People get better. We adapt. We grow in our skill level. And boxing is something that, you grow rapidly because you're constantly doing it. You're constantly throwing that particular punch. You're constantly sparring. You're constantly, doing repetitious things. So who I was 5 years ago in the ring is not who I am today in the ring. I've been doing this a long time. You're not going to be the same person. So, in terms of Anthony Joshua, I think a lot of it had to stem from that. And I do feel like Daniel Dubois has a certain level of confidence coming into this fight. One, because they know each other and they used to be sparring partners. Two, when you look at the level of competition that Daniel Dubois has had versus what AJ's had recently, last three opponents, there's no competition, or there's nothing there. Daniel has faced much, much more difficult competition lately than Anthony Joshua. Gotta be honest about that. So I get it. Because he's riding high. Both of them are riding high. They both have, they're both doing extremely well right now. So they're both riding high. But looking at the level of competition, I would definitely say that morale-wise, I would clearly give it to Daniel Dubois. I mean, look what he's had to go through lately in his last 3 fights. So you got to give it to the man. He's doing his thing. Let's see. I've been waiting for this matchup. Honestly, I've been waiting years for this matchup, and I am so excited that it's finally happening. I do think Daniel Dubois is. I don't want to say he's Alexander Usyk, and when I say Alexander Usyk, Usyk is the guy who destroyed the plan. The ultimate plan was to have Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua fighting like Wembley Stadium. You have two great British champions fighting in Wembley Stadium. So that was the plan. And then there's this guy named Alexander Usyk who just kind of ruined everything. And the question is, do I think that Daniel Dubois could be the Alexander Usyk for the yet again another setup for AJ and Fury? Absolutely. The guy's on a tear right now, Daniel Dubois. The guy's on a tear right now. He's doing his thing. He hits extremely hard. And the one thing that everybody was questioning in terms of Daniel Dubois was, his heart. Do you have the heart to do this? Yeah, it's easy to look good when you're winning, but what about when you're losing? Do you know how to dig deep in that well and climb yourself out? That was the question in regards to Daniel Dubois. And he's answered that. He has answered that in his last 3 fights. So I don't want to hear any more talk about that. He's definitely answered that. Now, the question is, where are they both mentally? Because both of these guys have suffered mentally in their careers. AJ took a huge dip, and it started with Andy Ruiz. And then you look at Dubois when he's taking on the juggernaut, Joe Joyce. So it's just like, where are you guys at? And I feel like Daniel Dubois is in a much better place because he's had to really fight his way through his last 3 fights. Well, I look at AJ, he had a bone thrown to him with the Francis Ngannou fight, and I said he was going to knock him out, and that's exactly what he did. He knocked him out super quick, didn't get any punishment. The fight didn't last long. He got 0 punishment. He didn't get pushed or anything. So I don't know where they are mentally. I know they're both riding high. I do know that much. They're both riding high right now. But in terms of who has the mental edge at this point, I would definitely say Daniel Dubois. Even looking at that little face-off between the two of them, I would still say it's Daniel Dubois because he got AJ riled up. AJ didn't get him riled up. I mean, AJ still. Daniel Dubois would have continued seated if AJ would have stayed seated. AJ got up. AJ's like, don't disrespect me, and I don't like being disrespected, and. Dude, you're a fighter. What do you think he's going to do? Be super sweet and nice to you? That's not going to happen. So, but Daniel, I think he's riding higher than AJ right now. I really do. I think he's riding higher. I think his last 3 fights have taught him a lot more about himself than AJ's last 3 fights have taught him about himself. I feel like those fights have taught him how to dig within himself, how to believe in himself, how to dig within himself, and how to get himself out of a hole. Also, how to re-strategize. If something's not working, how do you make it so that it is working during the fight? And I think that's what Daniel has learned those last 3 fights. And that's the reason why I got to say, right now, in terms of the mental edge, I got to give it to Daniel because I don't understand why AJ was so annoyed. He was super annoyed. So it's just you're dealing with a guy who hardly ever talks, Daniel Dubois, hardly ever talks. Why are you so annoyed? That only leads me to what I just said. Let me tell you what this fight is not. I want to be clear on what this fight is not. This fight is not a tune-up fight for AJ versus Fury. Once Fury and Usyk figure out their situation. This is not that. It's not that. It's not a tune-up fight for AJ. It's not a stay busy fight for AJ. It's not that. Daniel is the champ here. We have to remember that. Daniel's the champion, and AJ is the one challenging. Daniel's the champ. Daniel has the belt. Daniel has had wars lately showing his heart and skill. AJ doesn't have that. And that's important. That's important. That is a huge factor going into this fight. Whether anybody wants to admit it or not, that's a huge factor. Daniel is no free meal. He's just not a free meal. I know how it looks on the outside. It's it's Daniel. He doesn't say anything, and he's really cheesy, and there's no personality to him. He's kind of Frankenstein. He kind of just sits there, and Frank Warren has to do all the talking for him because he ain't gonna say nothing. But don't get it twisted. Daniel Dubois can fight. Don't get it twisted. He can fight. That dude can fight. AJ is the cash cow, and Daniel wants that spot. That's why this fight is going to be super entertaining. That's why this fight has so much on the line. Daniel wants that spot. He already has the belt. AJ's the one challenging. Daniel wants the mystique of the AJ. That's what he wants. He wants the lore of Anthony Joshua. He wants the slot of Anthony Joshua. That's what he wants. Daniel wants the winner of Usyk and Fury. It's not just AJ who wants that. It's still going to be a mega fight if Daniel gets it. Because, listen, let's just say Fury wins. It's still two Brits fighting. It's still two Brits fighting. I don't think Fury will win. But let's just say Fury wins. It's still two Brits fighting. So it still means a lot for Daniel. Period. This fight has so much on the line. It could be over for the loser in terms of title fights. And with that said, I'm going to end this video.